Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown, the unofficial sumo podcast for official sumo fans. This is Ryan.
This is Fleric.
This is Jake.
This is Mac.
And this is the Nagoya 2024 preview episode. We are recording this 1 week prior to the start of the Basho, a little bit earlier than we typically do.
God, it is early.
We're recording this Sunday, July 7th for the Basho that will be starting on Sunday, July 14th. But you know what? There's still plenty of news and updates for all of the top Rikishi. So I have a pretty good feeling we know what we're talking about for this podcast, even though it's still a little early.
That makes one of us.
Yeah. The illusion. Continue the illusion.
You'll be informed as we go, as with every other Basho.
Are you like getting defensive against the fans that have not said anything to you?
No, I'm being defensive. I was talking to you, Jake. You were saying that you don't know what's happening.
I never know what's happening. I mean,
and you'll know as the episode goes.
Outline. Yeah, all right, fine.
Before we jump into anything, we have our Patreon we want to highlight. So what we offer on the Patreon is 3 different tiers. We have a $1 friend of the show tier where you get a compliment upon signing up. We have 3 compliments to hand out this episode. And you also get access to the Grand Sumo Breakdown Discord. There is a $2 card collector tier where you get everything in the $1 tier. Plus, you have the right, if you would like, to request a trading card whenever I do a trading card box opening. And there's a $3 BFF of the show level. Everything in the $2 tier, plus the ability to ask any question that Grand Sumo Breakdown must answer. Any and all levels are highly appreciated. We're very thankful for everybody's continued support. All the money that is sent our way goes into improving the quality of the podcast and giving back to the fans. On the improving the quality of the podcast front, hopefully everybody can hear a little bit of improvement in our audio as we all have fresh new microphones to hopefully improve the audio quality of the podcast. And then giving back to the fans the trading cards, and we give out a free t-shirt every Basho for the winner of our bold predictions. So none of the money goes into our pockets. It's all going into the podcast or going back to the fans. With that being said, let's kick off our compliments for our 3 new patrons.
Yeah, our first new patron, we have Goffy Crisp, who is such a good patron. I'm going to just pronounce coffee as Goffy going forward because I assume that's probably correct if our patron spells it that way.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Obviously, our patrons have never been wrong.
Of course not.
Clearly
ever
not.
In their lives.
But thanks to the support of Andrew Huntington, I think I'll have just enough positive energy to make it through this Basho, no matter what. I mean, if an Ozeki should fall, or 2 Ozeki should fall, or if a Yokozuna retires, or God forbid, Abi wins the Yusho, I think I will remain positive. So thank you, Andrew Huntington.
That would be tough to do, but through the power of Andrew Huntington, I believe we can do it.
The power of capitalism.
Wait, what?
All right. For a Corey Tyrannus, like my hamstring, you're a strong and flexible muscle that will never let me down.
But wait, Fleric,
hold it.
He's talking about his other hamstring, the one.
Yeah, okay. Wait, which one?
No, it's taking. No, my current hamstring was taking a break, but just like Corey, it's coming back stronger than ever, and
it's supporting you.
Never skipped a beat.
And thank you to all of our continuing patrons. But this episode, specifically Emo Dingo, your edgy vibe and impeccable taste from Hot Topic truly set you apart, making you the coolest dingo in any pack.
Okay. Did you chat GPT that one, or did you actually make that one
That's just
yourself?
what I'm doing now. It's so much easier. Why aren't you guys?
I was going to give you props. I'm like, that actually wasn't bet. Wait.
I told ChatGPT to say Hot Topic, so, I get that.
They are getting weirder, so I think, I'm in favor of continuing the gag. I like it.
I was going to say big props to saying Hot Topics, but apparently that was from you, so that's terrible. I hate you.
Speaking of a hot topic, Fleric, I'm going to defer you to Ryan. Ryan, please take it away. I believe we have some specific phrases we need him to say.
That is correct. Fleric's punishment for embarrassingly losing the last Champ Chump prediction series meant that he has to suffer through the D24 of Doom.
Interesting size of die.
Yes, it is. Basically,
Wait
what
a
it
second.
means is
D24?
D24 of Doom.
Mac and I have concocted a list of 24 phrases that you must say throughout the podcast, no matter how much you might not want to say them. And so we're going to sprinkle those in sporadically throughout this episode. And from here on out, we are no longer going to refer to this as a punishment. These are all Flaric's true and actual thoughts. So without further ado, Flaric, read the first one, please.
I request, nay, I demand that we refer to Jake as little Jakey boy throughout the rest of the episode.
Can do.
Yeah. You know what? This is
I
actually,
don't know why I deserve
you might
that.
you might be on to something, because so far these things I have to say, they're reading my mind.
Well,
All right,
fantastic. Why don't you read another one for us,
Yeah.
Flaric?
Can we
Honestly,
just not stay
I'm
on the
only
high?
offended at the lack of creativity on that.
Why do you think there's 24,
It's
Jake?
the only part that's annoying to me.
The trumpet is such an overrated instrument and adds nothing to music.
I cannot
You monster.
disagree with you
Unbelievable.
more, my friend.
Little
How
Jakey
could
boy
you?
does not approve.
Ryan, how could you?
That was Mac.
How did this get past?
That was
editing?
Mac.
Indeed it was, but I also played trumpet in high school.
Yeah.
What?
All right, little Jakey boy.
So
I'm the only one who didn't play trumpet here.
nerd.
Nerd. All right, well, let me move on. Let me move us forward a little bit.
Actually, let me finish this one off with just a little podcast lore. How Ryan and I met was actually by playing trumpet together in band. We sat next to each other.
Ska band.
All right.
Yeah, of course.
What's-
It's a
yes.
ska.
All right, go ahead, Jake.
Couple quick notes on amateur sumo. First off, we actually do have a very sad note. Taylor Tooley, aka Taylor Wiley, passed away. This is a amateur sumo wrestler and professional sumo wrestler from Hawaii. Actually, a former student of John Jocks, who gets a lot of mentions on this show. But he was a very good amateur sumo competitor. He joined professional sumo in the 90s. He got 3 lower division U shows and made it all the way to Makushita before a knee injury ended his professional career. He is a guy that has shown up a couple times in pop culture that you may have seen. At the very first UFC event, they had a sumo wrestler, and that was this guy. The UFC people came to ask around in Hawaii for a sumo wrestler that might participate in an event like that, and this was the guy that ended up doing it. You also may have seen him in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He's the big Hawaiian guy in that. Hawaii Five-0, the reboot. But yeah, so wild, interesting life. But he passed away recently here at 56 years old. Had a wife and 3 kids. Yeah, far too young. But
Too young.
just wanted to throw that out there as somebody that meant a lot to our sumo community, both as Americans, as amateur sumo fans, as professional sumo fans. So yeah, just wanted to remember Taylor Wiley a bit there. As for other amateur sumo stuff, there isn't a ton coming up quantity wise because we got some really big stuff that is coming. The next amateur tournament on August 3rd. Let me make sure I have that right. Yeah, August 3rd in Utah, we have the Harvest Days Festival. That's the second annual tournament out there near Salt Lake City. And then coming up just a month later on September 7th is the World Sumo Championships. We're going to try and figure out how that's streaming and pass that information along. But we got a bunch of Americans that are going to that. Want to make sure everybody's aware that Sumo World Championships on Saturday, September 7th. That is going to be in Poland. So I guess that's going to be overnight Friday for most of us probably. But either way, that's what's coming up in amateur sumo. And yeah, let's move on to a recap of last time, right?
Yep, we'll kick it over to B for a recap of the Natsu Basho.
Hey guys, B here with your Makuuchi Mayhem review. Oh wow! Another once-in-a-generation historic first for a winner. How surprising. And right after the last one, too. If only someone had predicted this. It really feels like the booking committee members really just aren't talking to each other enough. This tournament had a bunch of too many hands mistakes, and oddities that had to be communication errors. So first, we have these guys book all 4 Ozeki and the Yokozuna to lose on day 1, which I would have loved to have heard about in the debrief. Wait, what do you mean you booked Hoshoryu to lose? I booked Kodazakura to lose. Wait, what do you mean Kirishima lost? Oh no! Second, we had to get to day 6 before they realized they were booking the wrong Taka something Fuji to win. And third, both Ura and Mitakayumi got booked to an early streak, only for someone to rip the rug out from under them. Ura was especially painful. His wins were all straightforward power sumo, and then as soon as I saw him start doing the goofy waist-high grab gimmick thing again, you knew it was over for him. It's frustrating because when things are booked well, they turn out great. The story about Kirishima going from Yokozuna hopeful to just spiraling after the coach and stable transfer has been really well thought out, and it makes me want to root for his comeback even more. Midori Fuji being booked as an underdog against a fluid heel like Tamawashi is good for what it is, losing record aside. And having Kodazakura throw a heel Henka at the end so that he wouldn't be rooted for in the lead up to the Onosato Yusho meant even more than it should have. Like I've said before, I'm nervous we're about to enter a bunch of historic first tournaments that'll end up overshadowing really good performances by the guys, but I do genuinely hope for all our sakes I'm wrong. Oh, also, can we get some control over these guys' appearance and Mawashi colors, please? Hokuto Fuji has been jobbing to the Norwood Reaper for years now, and I really, really didn't need to see Ryuden in a light brown, creamy poo-colored belt. Although, technically, I guess a red Mawashi is a poo-colored belt if you do it wrong. See you guys for Nagoya.
God. Ew.
Oh,
Good to get some
do it
some
wrong.
some insight into the writers' room there. Yeah.
oh wow. Well done. But ooh.
So let's start talking about the upcoming Nagoya Basho. And let's start talking about where the Nagoya Basho takes place. Obviously in the city of Nagoya, but more specifically in the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium, as this will be the final Basho to take place in the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium, which has been around since 1965.
AKA Dolphins Arena. That's
Yes,
the
Dolphins
name I've heard
Arena.
more often.
Yes, I think they bought the naming rights to it like in 2018 or something like that. Dolphins basketball team for Nagoya.
Oh, cool. Gotcha.
And Taiho was the first Rikishi to take home the cup in the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium.
He's just going to say it every sentence, aren't you?
Yes.
I love
Yes.
it.
It's hosted sumo 20 years longer than the Ryogoku Kokuki-kan, which opened in 1985. It's the only arena in which the GSB crew has watched sumo in. And
That needs to be fixed. That must be remedied.
I do not disagree with that in the slightest. And
Fortunately, we can go to the same place in 1 year, and that would do it.
yeah, so there's going to be a new arena, very uniquely named Aichi International Arena, as opposed to the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium.
Oh, wow.
And that will start hosting the July tournament in Nagoya beginning in 2025. So an end of an era with the closing of Dolphins Arena or Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium. We had a good time there. The one
Where?
or two times if you're Mac. The Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Yes. That's where we met Kisei no Sato. That's where we saw Terano Fuji fight in Makushita on his rise back up to the top division. That's where
we saw Takayasu get injured the only time I've seen him in person.
That's where we saw Takayasu, in effect, lose his Ozeki rank. So,
Hooray.
A lot of great memories.
I hope they burn the whole thing down.
Hey, the second time I was there was great. Being under the scoreboard was fantastic.
Flerick, please, could you read the next statement?
Oh, we were having such a good time. Hey, Ryan. I've been having some computer issues recently. As my go-to IT guy, could you help me out with solving a computer network and formatting problem that I have been having?
Yeah, certainly, Flerick. You know, I'm always happy to help you out with these computer issues that you struggle with. Sounds like you may be having some driver conflicts. So to better synergize your GPU, you need to set up a secure VPN on your router. Then as long as your firewall is set up properly, you just need to increase your RAM by upgrading your cooling system. If you're still getting crashes, your IP address is corrupted, and you probably need a new solid state drive.
So I've set it on fire. What do I do now?
Get a fire extinguisher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Send an email to the fire department.
I'll do that later.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
my cooling issue has been solved with the fire.
Turns out if you get hot enough, you go full circle.
Yes. Yeah. Cooling overflow issue
Yeah.
error.
It's like Gandhi
Backdraft.
getting aggressive in Civ.
Underflow.
Oh, yep. From 1 to 99.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk some sumo. It's
Okay.
been too long.
Please. What's name of this new name of this gym again, Ryan?
Aichi International Arena will be the new place.
Oh, thank you. I almost forgot.
I believe the naming rights is IG Arena, but I saw an article that said JSA is just going to call it Aichi International.
Oh, I like IG. It's a Star Wars reference. Anyway.
All right. Actual sumo.
Probably not a Star Wars
Onosato,
reference.
the winner.
No, yeah, it is. IG-88, the actual assassin droids.
No. Sumo. We have dilly-dallied for far too long. Onosato, the historic winner of the previous Basho, winning in just his 7th tournament ever, his 3rd in the top division, his 1st in the Sanyaku, blah, blah, blah. We went over all of his accolades. How do we think he is going to follow up that Yusho? We know that he's been training hard. He has received some very intense kuaigiri from Nishonoseki Oyakata, and he stated after that training that it was really tough, but I'm grateful. I realize I still have a lot to learn from pushing. He has also stated he is aiming for the next step up in the rankings. So, Jake, let's talk about his chances at winning a 2nd consecutive Yusho. There has not
real quick, just for anybody who's new, can you translate the prior sentence that you said about what kind of training he got? Because there was about half Japanese in that sentence.
Yeah, Kawaii Giri. Why don't you do that one?
Kuaigiri. Yeah, you push a lot, I think. It's like Butsukari, but a lot.
It's like, well,
I don't fully know exactly, but I know he did not have a good time.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, pushing
Nishinoseki Oyakata looks like he's having a great time, though.
Right. That is former Yokozuna Kisanosato. But yeah, so the pushing training is generally like the bigger or the senior guy will let the younger slash and or smaller guy just push them as training. Basically, just be there to be resistance while the other guy pushes you across the ring. And the guy who's being pushed decides when you're done. So a lot of that time, that's a lot later than the guy who's doing the pushing would have decided to be done. Based on the pictures that Ryan copied over into the outline, I'm thinking that they probably went for a little while.
Yes. Yeah.
The last picture, there's Onosato. It looks like somebody shot him. He's just laying on the ground.
He's dead.
Oh my God. Sorry though, to answer the question, yes, I absolutely think Onosato can go back to back. I'm glad I don't have the first pick in our actual like wager that we're making later, but he's definitely in the top tier for guys that I would pick to win this Yusho. He didn't sustain any major injuries the way Takeru Fuji did when he won. His sumo itself is continuing to rapidly improve. The mistakes he's made in the past that we've seen him make, not that there were a lot of them, but there's certainly fewer than there were before. His sumo is very straightforward, very, just big, powerful. He knows exactly what he's doing, great technique. I have no reason to doubt that he's going to be one of the favorites going into this one. I think a lot of it is going to depend on the other people as opposed to depend on Onosato, because if the rest of the field is in the shape that they were 2 months ago, very well could see a repeat.
His to lose.
So is there anything that concerns you with the fact that we have not had a back-to-back Yusho winner since Teruno Fuji in September and November of 2021, let alone no Rikishi has ever won back-to-back Yusho while ranked lower than Ozeki in both Basho?
Have we ever seen Onosato do it? I mean,
fair. He did just make his time as the fastest Rikishi to ever win a Yusho. So if there's anybody that can do it, why not him?
Yeah, I don't think there's like some specific curse, I'm sure he had a little bit of extra stuff to do because of the Yusho win, like in between Basho, like extra duties, extra things that might prevent him from doing training. I don't know. I certainly don't see any reason not to have him be in my top tier of favorites for the next one.
Yeah, I would kind of trust Kisei Nosato, Oikata, or wherever his Nishonoseki.
Nishinoseki, yep.
I'll kind of trust him to kind of keep his head straight and not to get too overwhelmed by all the pomp and circumstance of winning the Yusho. So,
Yeah.
and the fact that we are seeing reports of his training regiment that he's kind of going through is kind of making me hopeful that he's probably going to be at least on his A game to try to repeat.
And we know that he's pushing for those higher ranks in his fourth top division Basho. He has stated he's aiming for that next step up in the rankings, and that next step is Ozeki. So he has his eye on the prize. He's not saying, yeah, we'll see how Sekiwake goes and move from there. He's like, no, I'm already looking to the next rank.
He will do his brand of sumo.
All right, I have a question. Do you think, like, a little bit inside of Kisino Sato, that he's just a little bit angry that Onosato got Yusho so fast?
Kisino Sato was like 32, 33 when he won his first Yusho.
Famously had like 12 second place finishes before he got his first win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And here,
so he's just kind of like, what the hell? All
this
right.
young punk.
Was it really that easy the whole time? Or maybe being in the shadow of Hakuho, as Mr. J-Wags would call it, kind of drives up the numbers required for winning a Yusho as opposed to the 12 that Onosato needed.
Yeah, 20 years from now, maybe it's the shadow of Onosato as the next YouTube series that he does.
The Phenom.
That would be neat.
Yeah. So, Mac, it sounds like we're pretty high on Onosato here, and he has had 3 tournaments in the top division, 11 wins, 12 wins. So that's a pretty impressive clip and difficult to keep on that track. I would say even like Kotozakura and Hoshoryu are 2 of our best Ozeki right now. Can't even stay at 11 wins per Basho clip. So would you say over or under 11 and a half wins for Onosato this tournament?
That's a hard one. Given the current state of the field, I want to lean to the over, but there's so many X factors that I want to try and consider, and that being Takakeisho, Kirishima, or if Terunofuji is going to come back and start competing again. Those were 3 potential losses that Onosato might encounter. Plus, he dropped a few in the last tournaments. So I don't know. That's a tough call, but if I'm going with my gut, I'm going to say under, but I'm going to say 11. I'm going to say 11 and 4.
I mean, that's basically his floor as far as we know.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I'm like, okay, if I'm going with the under on this one, I'm going to cap it at 11 and 4.
Anybody else feel strongly in either direction on Onosato? Like, it seems like we're all pretty much in agreement. This guy that just showed up 6 months ago is like, yeah, he's a favorite to win the Yusho, which is kind of shocking to say, but I feel like we're all pretty confident in saying that.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, and the 3 losses that he had came to guys that he'll probably face again anyways. So I'm curious to see if he will turn it around. Like, let's see. So his 3 losses were Takayasu. That's the only time they've ever fought. And Takayasu took the win. Hirotomi, he's now 1-1 against. But Hoshoryu, he's 0-3 against. I think that one, that's starting to be a pattern, you know? Like, that's enough that it's like, okay, Hoshoryu knows what he's doing with Onosato. But nobody else, like, I don't know. It looks like, let's see, Kotozakura, he's 1-2 against. There's so little history because he's so new that it's hard to say like who I would expect to beat him.
Exactly.
But I do think that I think I would have put the over under at the same spot that you did, Ryan. I think either 11 or 12 wins is kind of where my expectation is. I think if you made me put money on it, I'd say under, but I don't like saying it.
And yeah, that's just it. It's like it's so many X
It's
factors.
the right place to put the over under. Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah, I do think that's a pretty good number. But while you were kind of talking about Jake, whether or not he can maybe clear up those wins against the people he lost to, I'm kind of curious about those Ozeki rematches he had. I think Kotozakura, Takakeisho, and Kirishima, depending what kind of shape he's in this next Basho, I bet they want a rematch. They want another go at the Onosato.
Yeah.
And I'm just not convinced. They can go either way in my head. So I think I'll be very hesitant to kind of go above 11.5 as well. It could happen.
It would be
tough.
very fun to see healthy Takakeisho, healthy Kirishima, healthy Terunofuji, if that exists. So yeah, to see Onosato, if he can run through those guys and also pick up 12 wins again with all those guys being healthy, that will even more in my mind cement that he is who I think he is. Not that I'm doubting after the last Basho, but it wouldn't hurt at all.
It's still so new that, like, you know, there is absolutely the possibility that he has peaked, you know, like that this is his ceiling and he just reached it very quickly. I don't think that's the case. I'm just saying that it's like possible.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, it's tantalizing to be like, he got more wins against tougher competition as he's moved up. Like, that's ridiculous. Of course he's
Right.
Of course he's going straight to the moon, right? So yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited, but it's also very it's thrilling to have like no real history to lean back on to like form.
It's exciting. Yeah, like I said, it's exciting.
You
Like,
kind of just
okay,
got to go
let's
on
see what
vibes and
happens.
how you think he did like in the ring last tournament, which was awesome. So
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the rug pull with Onosato. We got it.
Don't.
We got it with Hakuoho. We got it with Takeru Fuji. I wouldn't say Atami Fuji has been a rug pull at all. He's still fighting in the
he's
joy.
still there.
he's doing just fine, right?
He's doing just fine. Yeah. But Onosato, I'm still kind of waiting for that like Takeru Fuji, Hakuoho type.
Don't
pull.
bring that into the world. Don't do that.
You're right. I need to think of our patron
Positive.
Andrew Huntington
Come
and stay
on.
positive. You're right. You're right.
Don't speak that evil into the world. Make Flarek speak some evil.
Yes,
into
make
the world
Flarek speak some evil into the world. Speaking of
Hey,
which.
Jake. Hey, little Jakey boy. Why would you do that to me? Oh, come on. All right. I don't understand these Korean dramas. Why would anyone watch Crash Landing on You or Boys Over Flowers or She Is Wow?
I don't understand either, Flarek. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, they're so good, Flarek. How could you? I also blame my wife.
I was going to say, these are definitely...
Oh, that was Carolyn. That was totally Carolyn. She's like, oh, do this.
What are you talking about? These are Flarek's
Flarek's
firm
words
and
expressed
heartfelt opinions. Yeah.
Yeah,
the official opinions of Flarek of GSP.
Well, what's another one of his opinions?
Ooh,
yeah,
good
Korean
question.
dramas are no fun, despite all the long conversations I've had with your wife about those. Ugh. All right, let's get this up. The Brandon Sanderson Cosmere is so boring. I have no clue why anyone would read Mistborn or the Stormlight Archives. Only nerds like fantasy books with complex, in-depth magic systems that span across generations and solar systems.
You
Freaking
monster.
You've betrayed us all.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nothing I know
how
is
could
true
you?
anymore.
I just hate everything now, including the things that I have always said that I love.
It's been a ruse the entire time.
My heart hurts.
I love how we've hit this weird patch where like I'm the only non-trumpet player, the only non-K-drama watcher, and the only
I can't believe this.
and the only non-Brandon Sanderson reader of the entire group. I actually kind of feel a little singled out here.
My influence is strong.
An
My
added
influence is strong.
benefit.
Give it time, Jake.
Added
Give it
bonus, we're punishing
time.
Jake.
Not really
He feels
punishing, just kind of,
isolated
like,
and left out.
unsettling.
Uncomfortable.
Also unsettling is how few Ozeki we might have in September if things don't roll out
what a
right.
pro.
in Nagoya.
Fantastic segue.
Oh, he's so good at this.
How many Ozeki will we have in September? It could be as low as 2. It could be as high as 5 or 6, depending on how high you are on your chances with Abi and Onosato. Let's talk about the 2 absolute locks for Ozeki come September. Those are Hoshoryu and Koto Zakura. Both of them had winning records in the previous Basho. They are not Kataban. They are guaranteed to be Ozeki come September. Let's start talking about Hoshoryu first. I just kind of wanted to, Jake, what you got? Little Jakey boy, per Flarek's request.
Oh.
Never mind, I don't care.
All
I was
right,
just
moving
gonna say,
on.
do like a 10-second overview of the Ozeki rules for anybody that's coming into this fresh.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. If this is your first Basho, really getting into sumo, you wanted to find a podcast to talk about it, hey, you're in the right place. An Ozeki keeps their rank. It's a very difficult rank to achieve, usually having to set the bar of 33 wins over 3 Basho while you're in the Sanyaku. And once you achieve that rank, it's harder to drop
What's
from
the
that
Sanyaku?
rank. No.
Basically, if you get a winning record, you move up. If you get a losing record, you move down in sumo. Except for when you're at the very top, the ozeki, they get one tournament of a grace period if they have a
One
bad record.
grace.
So
Yes.
yeah, the Hoshoryu and Kotozakura had a winning record in the last tournament, which means no matter how bad they do, they get to keep their rank at least until September. But
Yep.
if you get 2 bad records in a row, you get bumped down, just like one of the next guys we're going to talk about here.
Yeah. But I did want to talk about Hoshoryu and Kotozakura kind of. I feel like they've been at a similar level over the past few years. So looking at Hoshoryu, he's had a winning record for 15 consecutive Bashos, and Kotozakura has had a winning record for 11 consecutive Bashos.
Wow.
Or it would be a streak of 15 if you include the Basho that he started 7-3, but had to pull out due to COVID.
Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Both have had double-digit wins in 5 of the previous 6 Basho. Hoshoryu in the past year has 1 Yusho, 1 Jun Yusho, and 1 special prize. Kotozakura has 3 Jun Yusho and 3 special prizes over the past year. So these two, obviously, as Ozeki, have been 2 of the top guys over the past year. They've probably had the highest consistent winning records over the past year because Teruno Fuji's been absent, Takakeisho in and out, Kirishima has absolutely fallen apart as a human being. But between them, despite them probably being
As a wrestler, as a person.
Despite them being the top 2 most consistent guys on the Bansuke, there's only 1 Yusho between the 2 of them over the past year, and that was Hoshoryu in last year's Nagoya Basho. So it's been a while. So Hoshoryu has stated that he really wants the Yusho this Basho, and he's being careful not to get injured. He has stated it's been too long since I've gotten one. I really want to get number 2. And Kotozakura has stated that all I can do is give it my all as usual. If I win the Yusho, the future will be clearer again. So Kotozakura clearly striving for his first Yusho as well. Important to note on Kotozakura, he has been seen wearing a sock on his left foot, and he has admitted that he sprained it a bit in training. But while he was doing his practice bouts, there was no taping on it, and it did not seem to hamper him in his practice bouts. So something to keep an eye on, but it doesn't seem anything too serious. It's not keeping him from practicing sumo. So what are our thoughts on Hoshoryu and Kotozakura? We talked about Onosato. He's down at Sekiwake. He's the new hotness. Should one of these guys be the favorite to win the Yusho? Can they break out of their 10-11 win consistency to burst past that to get 12, hopefully 13 or 14 wins as an Ozeki?
I sure think so. I meant, like, for me, I mentioned Onosato is in like my top tier. These are the other 2 guys I would put in the same tier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I do this a lot, but for me, at least coming into this, I have these 3. I'd say there's like, I don't know, 75% chance in my head that it's one of these 3. Hoshoryu, Kotozakura, Onosato. They're for sure my big 3.
Mhm.
And then 25% chance it could be somebody else. But yeah, I don't know. Cleric or Mac, do you guys have either one of these guys ahead of the other, or where are you guys rating them? Because to me, I kind of see these 2 as equal to Onosato.
I would personally say maybe a little bit above Onosato, just because of the consistency.
I'd agree
And
with you there, Fleric.
Yeah, because Onosato, he's had a high, which is very true. But how often have we seen that? Like one Basho like have like a very hot streak and you win the whole thing, and next one it's just not nearly the same. You just can't get the same fire in the bottle going for it. So, but these are 2 people who have like consistently had winning records. A lot of times they're in the Yusho race throughout. They haven't got that magical Yusho as probably as much as they wanted to, and they definitely haven't done it as recently as Onosato, which is definitely a good indicator that he's really good right now. But I would still give the consistency to both the current Ozeki a little bit over them. But I'm kind of with you. It's definitely those 3 are the 3 I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Depending what's going on with Teruno Fuji, I haven't heard any news on that. So,
and I would say that Kotozakura and Hoshoryu have to be feeling a lot of pressure. They're the 2 Ozeki that have been healthy the past 2 Bashos that Teruno Fuji, the only Rikishi ranked above them on the Basho, has been absent, and yet they've let these 2 historic Yushos happen with Takeru Fuji and Onosato. With Teruno Fuji's absent, these are supposed to be the top 2 guys
The
in sumo,
gatekeepers.
and the good gatekeepers.
The good gatekeeper. Okay, thank you.
But they haven't been able to seal the deal. They keep dropping too many losses to these lower ranked guys, and it's just kind of showing that they're not quite a step as far a step above as maybe people want them to be, or maybe they should be as Ozeki, young Ozeki too.
Sure.
Yeah. I think this is less that it's the Ozeki underperforming and more so just these are two hot shots that are gonna just climb up the Bansuke. I think time will tell with Onosato and probably Takeru Fuji. I haven't seen nearly as much as him because it's just been one Basho up there. So, but Onosato, I've been liking YC. I think it's just a matter of time. Probably we get Ozeki, and I think I think he's at a similar skill level to them. So I think it's natural they're just gonna lose some matches against each other.
Yeah. I will say Hoshoryu has been doing his job against the young upstarts and trying to prevent them from winning the Yusho. He beat Takeru Fuji in his Yusho. He's 3-0 against Onosato. So he's been doing his job. Koto Zakura, I believe he lost to Takeru Fuji and he lost to Onosato in both of their Yushos. So Hoshoryu is holding up his end of the bargain, but Koto Zakura is dropping these matches to the young upstarts. Now, these young upstarts, they might be at that Ozeki level. Time will tell on that, but yeah, it is a little disappointing, I will say, that they haven't been able to pick him up, but then we've got these back-to-back historic Yushos, and that's been pretty damn awesome as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the two guys we know we're confident in. Just like Kirishima after January, it's like, we're confident in this guy. They're good. Nothing's going to happen to them. Why would you even think otherwise? But then we have the more shakier Ozeki that we need to talk about, and that is Taka Keisho, who is currently Kadoban. He had a losing record last Basho as he pulled out after day 1. And if he has a losing record again this Basho, he will drop down to the Sekiwake rank. Kadoban is not an unfamiliar status for Taka Keisho. As we all know, this is his 9th time being Kadoban as an Ozeki, but he's still a good ways away from the record, which is 14 times Kadoban by Chiyo Taikai. Wow. So I'm sure that's a record Taka Keisho is striving to break. He'll get there. He'll get there in about 3 years if he's able to stay in there.
Mm-hmm.
Our favorite quote machine, Taka Keisho, he says, "I don't care about the number of times I've been Kadoban. It's of no relevance. I just need to block out the surrounding noise. I've been constantly regulating what I do. My condition is not bad, and my neck seems all right." So Taka Keisho, this is the first time in a few Basho that I've seen he has begun practice bouts in his stable as of July 3rd, so about 4 days ago. And on July 4th, he went on Degeko and went 9-2 against Juryo Rikshi Shimazu Umi. So he is out and about training. Seems like he says his neck is all right. So it seems like Taka Keisho might be in a bit better shape than we've seen him the rest of this year. So I want all of us to answer the question, will Taka Keisho be Ozeki in September? Let's start with Fleric.
Yep.
All right.
It's definitely, it's kind of a vibe on me for that, because it's impossible to tell with his neck, but my guts is telling me yes. So
what about you, Jake and Mac? Do we agree with Fleric's assessment?
You don't get 9-2 for nothing. I mean 9-2, God, 9 times Kadoban and come back. It's like, no. He wants 14. He's gonna come back.
That's his goal.
That's his goal. Not that he's counting, but how many more do I have to go? 5 more. Okay, got it. Yeah. 5 more.
I don't know. I think to me, yeah, I think he's got it. But my less my less jokey answer for it is that I think that I think he's too competitive not to go all out and maintain it. He might do that thing again where he gets 8 wins, secures his rank, and is like, all right, see ya, I'm out.
That's what I'm expecting.
Or maybe he is just healthy. Maybe he is okay. Like the way that he phrased that, I don't know how much of that is the translation versus how much is exactly how he said it, but saying, my neck seems all right. I don't think he would frame it that way unless he was like on the verge of death from a neck injury, you know? So like maybe that's a bad thing.
I was going to say, a sumo wrestler
saying it's
about
all
his
right.
injuries?
Well, no, it's either like my
Gasp.
neck has never felt better, and that's like anywhere from like a 2 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 health. But he only said it's all right, so he must be like it must be very serious.
Gotcha.
No, I don't know. To me, we've seen it happen 8 times already, and I think he'll probably clear Kadoban the 9th time here. And yeah, I don't know. Takakeisho's been just so he's been inconsistent Basho to Basho, but he's been very consistent like year to year. He kind of knows what he's doing. He'll probably, unless his injuries are getting worse than they have been, he'll pull out of a bunch of Basho, but then he'll win one of them, or he'll sit out for a long time for an injury and then come back, look really good, and then re-injure something else. So I don't know. It sucks, but I guess for me, if I had to put money on it, I'd say yes, he will remain Ozeki.
I will say that my kind of faith in him staying Ozeki is getting less and less as the years go on. So it's still, my gut still told me yes, but it is kind of slowly dipping down.
Yeah. I do have more confidence this time than I did the previous time. It sounds like I do have a lot of confidence because he is out doing the practice bouts and the training, especially outside of his Heya. That is something that he hasn't been able to do as much the previous Basho. So the fact that he's able to do it now is a good sign. I don't have faith, as Jake said, that something else might pop up during the Basho or he re-injures the neck injury, but I do have enough confidence in Takakeisho that he'll recover from this Kadoban this time. I don't think he's going to be pushing for the U show. But I
could play spoiler though.
I got him pegged for about 9 to 10 wins is my guess.
Yeah,
seems fair.
I would bet that he will be Ozeki, but that bet would be like a 51%, 49% kind of bet. It's kind of where I'm at. Super low odds, like Fleric said.
I have another question. Do we want him to get more than 8 wins and stay Ozeki?
Oh, for sure. I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
So. why are you asking, Fleric?
I'm just kind of curious because are we sick of Takakeisho? Are we done with him? We have all these hot shots are going to be vying for the spots. Like, do we want him to kind of just drop out and just make way for them? I'm just kind of curious what people's thoughts are.
I don't want to see Takakeisho like Shodai and Mitake Yumi and Takayasu just kind of former Ozeki hanging around. Like, those three obviously did not have the success at the rank that Takakeisho did, which is why I've long held the belief that when he drops from Ozeki, he's done. I think he's been there long enough. He's accomplished enough there that if he drops from Ozeki, despite only being 27, I think he would retire rather than stick around in the Maegashira ranks. I think he's above that. But I think, to answer your question, us on the Grand Sumo Breakdown podcast, do we want Takakeisho to fade away? No. Sumo fans in general, maybe closer to yes.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Good question.
I'm at a weird point because I don't want to see him win any more tournaments because I want to see the Hoshoryus, Kotosakura's, Onosatos, Takeru Fuji when he comes back. I want to see these guys taking home the U shows and feel like Takakeisho. But then again, we could Takakeisho go for like 2 more U show and become the most U shows without ever being promoted to Yokozuna kind of guy. So that might be kind of cool to follow. I think there's enough there for Takakeisho that I don't want him to just fade away yet.
My only concern for him, though, is his neck injury. Those are so volatile. Those are so... Yeah. I get one bad move, one bad hit, one bad tachi-eye. You don't want to mess with your neck. And that's... Yeah. I mean, that's why I want to see him gone. It's like, I want you healthy, man. Don't. It's not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, Eno has had a neck injury, and he's been out for over a year. He's going to be all the way down in the lowest division this Basho.
Yeah, for me, I guess...
Don't mess with the neck.
Takakeisho is a guy that's been around long enough and has made a big enough mark that I want him to, like in the pro wrestling storyline sense, I want him to like get beaten as opposed to fade away because of injury. I want him to be, whether that's like in a perfect world, if you were to write it as a storyline, you would write it as, Takakeisho, if the injuries are finally piling up, he goes all out for one more and loses in a playoff to Onosato, one of the new guys, pass the torch kind of thing. And that's kind of the storyline that you always hope for somebody that when they are getting too old or too beat up to continue in some sort of athletic pursuit, you want a good bookend on the story. And for me, Takakeisho, I don't want him to go out because his injuries just pile up and make him ineffective. I would love for him to have like one more bang, and then if the injuries are as bad as it seems like they could be, maybe that's sooner than I want it to be. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely want him to stick around because he's always been interesting, and he's always been like a puzzle to solve if you want to get into Ozeki or especially Yokozuna. And yeah, it would suck to just watch a career get cut short by injury before he's even 30. That would be awful.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. Like, I definitely want him to kind of stick around. It's he's definitely, the big thing is, like you say, he's unique and unique sumo. He's like the Oshi sumo test. Can you survive this Oshi specialist? And if you can, you're gonna make your way to the top. If you can't, you're gonna have a bad time. But yeah, but my expectations of him are going down. I think now he's definitely like, even though he's 27, like the old kind of vet who just comes in, takes a long drag of a cigarette, takes a shot of sake. Yeah. He comes in, he has some wily things to do some spoiler, and somehow ends up with 8 wins. So he's a character, and I think I also want to kind of keep him around. I'm in agreement with you guys.
Do we think we see a Takakeisho Desperation Henka this Basho?
Oh, probably.
Right.
Yeah. If he needs it, hell yeah.
Exactly.
If he's 7-7, that opponent better not.
Henka beware.
That would be the lowest IQ move possible, to charge a 7-7 Kadoban Takakeisho.
Speaking of low IQ statements, Flair, why don't you share us another firmly held belief that you have?
Low IQ. Fun. Mac is the better foosball player and always will.
Oh no!
Thank you. Thank you.
He seems pained from that statement. Let's let a little bit more pain flow.
Yikes!
Okay, for the listeners,
don't say what it is. Don't say what it is.
Nope. We gotta wait for him to come back.
We'll gotta say it. You just needed to walk it off. He's coming.
Jurgen Klopp is a completely worthless soccer coach. Liverpool is better off without him. They should have dropped Mo Salah when they dropped Klopp's worthless ass. First of all, they didn't drop him. He quit. Yeah,
Sure.
he walked off in the highlight.
Whatever you got to tell
after
yourself.
a great season, and he secured top 4. And yeah, he said, like, I'm done, and he was not dropped. That's all I have to say. And that was a low IQ statement. You're right. No one should take that seriously.
Well, you know what? There's one more that might help with raising of the IQ. So why don't you go in for that one, Flair?
All right, Mac.
Okay, let's palate cleanse this one.
Yeah, this will cleanse. This will help.
Ryan will always be better at Mario Kart and speedrunning. I need to learn how to be a better video game player from him.
Yeah, I can take you.
See, that helps. See, we're gonna lift the IQ. Lift.
Teach you computer stuff. I can teach you Mario Kart. I can teach you the speedrunning. I can do all that for you, Flairick.
Yeah, you totally can. That actually was better. I'm glad you said that.
Let's palate cleanse with a little bit less emotional damage. Yeah.
Yeah, this I can live with.
All right,
let's talk about sumo.
Yeah, let's talk about sumo. So right now I think we're all sitting pretty comfortable. We're thinking we're going to have at least 3 Ozeki for September. We believe Takakeisho will clear his Kadoban. What about Kirishima, who is in our Ozeki Wake state?
Something's eating Kirishima.
He has been demoted from the rank of Ozeki following 2 horrendous tournaments from Kirishima. His similar to Takakeisho, having some neck issues, but unlike Takakeisho, hasn't been able to fight through those enough to keep his Ozeki rank. So as a newly promoted or demoted Ozeki to the rank of Sekiwake, if he reaches 10 wins this Basho, he will be immediately promoted back up to the rank of Ozeki. So with Kirishima, we have a chance to see 4 Ozeki in the September tournament. He has been training very hard recently. There's no sign that his neck is bothering him, but that was the case too last Basho before he went 1-5 before pulling out. So the fact that he's doing well in training matches doesn't really tell us a whole lot. There is a quote from him saying, "I feel I'm back to my good condition. If I'm able to do this level of training, I see no problem." So the question I once again ask to all of us, will Kirishima be Ozeki in September? Mac, what say you?
Why'd you have to start with me? I want him to be. If there's a guy that I want to fight back other than Takakeisho, just again, watch that neck. This is another guy that has neck injury possibility, and we had all the hype. We had all the hopes that this guy could really shake everything up, and he shook everything up in the wrong way and fell out. That's what we don't want to have happen again. So I want him to come back. I want him to prove that he's shaken off all the things with his coach. He's shaking off all the things with his Heya. He's shaking off all the injuries. I want him to reclaim it. And if Tochinoshin could do it, if Takakeisho can do it, yeah, it's like, hey, it's been done. We've seen it done. So come on, let's do it.
Six Rikishi in the past have come back from this Ozeki Wake status to regain their Ozeki rank, with the last one being Takakeisho in 2019. So we say he's been Kadoban nine times and survived for Takakeisho 9 times. That's not true. His very first time Kadoban, he dropped down to Sekiwake and had to regain that rank. So he's been Kadoban 9 times and staved it off 7 times.
There, okay.
Yet to be seen if he will get the 8th time this time. Jake, what say you? Kirishima, Ozeki in September, 10 wins.
I don't like his chances. Yeah, I'd say less than 50-50 that he's going to do it. Like Mac, I kind of hope that he does it. My expectations are that he will not.
How about this? Do we think he'll threaten the 10 wins? Do we think he'll make it dramatic? If he's not going to get there, do we think he gets to 8 or 9 wins by day 14, 15 and just can't quite pull the trigger?
Yeah, I like that. That's a tougher question, because to me, I don't think he makes it, and I could see it either being a catastrophe of like 1 or 2 wins, like similar to last Basho when he pulls out halfway through to just throw in the towel. I could also see him, barely get it at the end. I just don't think that that's as likely. Yeah, I don't know. It's a real bummer, because you go back like a year or so, and Kirishima is one of the guys that were less than a year. You go back like 6 months.
Yeah, I was about to say just a few months ago.
Kirishima as like, yeah, we definitely had one Basho where we're like, yes, we now have like an upper tier that has solidified of like a bunch of really good Ozeki that are Yusho threats every time, and they're so consistent. And all of a sudden now we have only 2 guys that aren't Kadoban.
just 6 months ago in January, Kirishima was 1 or 2 wins away from becoming Yokozuna. He had gone 13-2 in November, a strong Yusho with 13 wins. He went 11-4 in January, but the one match that will always stand out from that January is the day 15 match against Teruno Fuji, where he was absolutely embarrassed, picked up, thrown out of the dojo. And since then, 5-10, and then 1-6-8. So I don't know if that has anything to do with Kirishima, if his confidence was shaken or broken, or if it is all of these injuries. But prior to that, he had that 13-2 Yusho. Then once again, prior to that, he had a little bit of an injury. He was Kadoban his first Basho as Ozeki, came back, got 9 wins. But before that, 11-4, 12-3, 11-4. So he has the ability, or at the very least had the ability, to consistently be 11+ win guy, even go so far as to get 13-2 record, which unfortunately nowadays in sumo is an exceedingly rare record to win a Yusho with. So I have hope that if he sincerely is back in good condition, if he's back to how he was in November and January, I think he has a very real shot of taking this. Now, what he did the last year, that was kind of before Kotozakura rose to Ozeki level. That was before Onosato burst onto the scene. So there's a couple of tough guys that have stepped up their game since Kirishima was at this high consistent level that could provide a couple of tough options for him there. But I do think we'll at least be teased with it, if not outright him getting the 10 wins. I do have, I think, a little bit more confidence in Kirishima, but I felt the same way last Basho too before we saw what he did.
I mean, 10 wins, that's a tall order.
It is. I think it is tough if Terunofuji competes. We know you got Hoshoryu and Kotozakura. You know that you've got Takakeisho, who's going to be desperate, and you got Onosato up there. That's
Hungry.
five. That's 5 guys right there that are all going to be tough to get wins over. And then, I mean, Daisho's no slouch. Abi is very strong right now as well. Hida Umi making his Sanyaku debut. I think
Atami Fuji's still hanging in there.
Yeah. So it's not going to be easy sledding. It never is to get 10 wins in the Sanyaku. So we'll see. Kirishima's obviously done it plenty in the past, and I hope he does it one more time. Another fun question, I think, if we're only to have 3, sorry, Flarek, you haven't given your opinion on Kirishima yet.
Yeah. I mostly agree with this stuff. I just wanted to add in that I think this is probably one of the more kind of maybe more of the more high pressure ranks to be at Ozekiwaki, where you have to hit a certain like total or else. So I'm gonna be
very unique.
Very.
There's no other situation like this in sumo where it's like you hit this predetermined number of wins, you get a new rank.
Yeah, the specific exact number.
Yeah,
it's you might have something similar when you're for getting the first Ozeki rank, but then you kind of have a chance next time if you get kind of close. This is kind of all or nothing. So assuming that the fact that assuming that he's healthy, I feel like this is gonna be a true test of like actual mental fortitude on this. So because we know he has the potential to do it. So I'll be very curious to watch him if he can pull it together and get it done.
And I do trust his mental game because his 2 U shows that he won, his first one was looks like 8 consecutive wins to finish off the tournament, and his second one was 9 consecutive wins to finish off the tournament. So when he needed to get the wins to get the U show, he had no problem getting them each and every day. So I think it could be the same situation here, where if he needs a strong second week after a couple of fumbles in the first week, I think he has the mental to get that done and get a strong, impressive winning streak against his toughest opponents when it matters the most.
I would love to see it. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So I think an interesting question. If we are to
we'll
only
be the
have,
judge of that.
Fair. If we are to have only 3 Ozeki in September, who would you rather have, Takakeisho or Kirishima?
Ooh.
And we're picking with our heart, like who would we rather have?
Yeah.
No, I'd say Takakeisho for me.
I think if it's either or, I will probably take Kirishima over Takakeisho.
I'd side with you as well, Flarek. I'd say Kirishima.
Yeah.
The
perfect
I
world
would
would be
also
both.
side Kirishima. Yeah, obviously, perfect world.
Oh,
is
yeah,
4.
yeah.
We want them both up there, but I would also side with Kirishima, as I think he has more potential at this point in their careers to move forward and farther than Takakeisho. But then I have to ask the question, like Flarek was asking, am I ready to say goodbye to Takakeisho?
No.
And apparently, I'd rather see Ozeki Kirishima and say goodbye to Takakeisho than the other way around. It would just feel so sad to me.
Yeah.
Like even more sad than like the Mitake Yumi one for whatever reason, where he was only there for 4 Bashos. But it feels so sad for me for Kirishima to get up there and then just completely fall apart and lose the rank and have to try again the hard way to get back up there, which the odds of somebody doing that twice, the Terunofuji in the room notwithstanding, are very low.
I agree with you. And I just think that Takakeisho, 0% chance he gets Ozeki a second time the hard way.
Yeah,
Kirishima, more than 0.
Yes.
More than
more,
0.
but more.
It's not 0.
Yeah.
Flarek, I want to
there you
hear
go.
2 more.
Wait a
things from
second.
you.
All right, let's get through these. I just
many
realized there
negatives.
was way too many of these left.
Oh,
I
there's
need to get through them.
plenty.
All right. I have a confession. I flipped the canoe on the Boundary Waters trip when we were gathering water. Mac was completely innocent.
I was innocent. Thank you for finally admitting it, Fleric.
I knew it.
No, you're not honestly wrong. I probably had a good amount of blame on that.
These two city boy bozos reached into the lake, got a big bucket of water to bring back to camp, and lifted it out of the water on the same side of the canoe at the same time.
Yeah, how else are you supposed to do
I
it?
was going to say, what are you supposed to do?
No, Fleric did that. Mac was protesting the entire time.
Mac was
Completely
already
innocent.
doing it, and Fleric on purpose was like,
Yes.
same side.
Yeah,
You're
purely
right.
Fleric.
He just
Purely
admitted it. I'm
I
just
don't
saying that, like,
necessarily remember the protest, but okay.
there are so few
you may not have
things
heard
that
it
can
with
go
me,
wrong with a canoe.
I was protesting as I was laughing my ass off, trying to grab everything that fell out of the canoe.
I will say there were 3 canoes that flipped on that camping trip. Mac was in 2 of them.
I was in. Hey, the first one was because of your dog.
Yep.
Thor decided he wanted to go in the back.
We don't.
All right. Give me another one.
Third.
I need to get
canoe.
through these.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about how Ryan had to hang up his and his wife's sleeping bags on the trees once we made camp because everything was damp.
Bears. Sorry.
Oh, come on. All right. The recent Dune movies pale in comparison to the original movie. Bring back Sting and the crazy voice weapons. I disagree, but you know, the Dune with Sting had a vibe. They had the thing going for it.
That one doesn't stab quite as deeply as you probably thought it might.
No, it was just
the original
laughs.
Dune was rad.
I mean, I enjoyed the original movie, but compared to the new ones, it was one of those like, okay.
It wasn't good, but it was rad.
All right.
Thank goodness, because I can't take too many deep stabbing ones every single time.
Okay, so it sounds like we might still be hovering around. We're projecting 3 Ozeki in September. We're kind of not fully sold on the Kirishima return here. So let's say we're still hovering at 3 Ozeki in September. That brings us to the incredible long shots in Sekiwake's Abi and Onosato. So Abi is sitting at 9 wins and 10 wins over the past 2 Bashos, which would mean he's 14 wins away from 33 wins over the past 3 Bashos. I believe they would all be from the Sekiwake rank. So Fleric, any chance in hell Abi goes 14-1 and is Ozeki in September?
I laughed a little bit as you said that. So I think the authentic answer is hell no.
He got 9 from Komusubi and then 10 from Sekiwake, and 2 of those 10 were Fusen wins, where they were forfeits from the other guy. So really, he has 17 wins in the last 2 Basho.
I think Hoshoryu had a few Fusen in his Ozeki.
I know.
They don't hold that
silly.
Semantics.
Just makes it a little sillier.
I do have a question. Do we any word if he's like living with the boys? Is he in the back in the Heya?
X Factor.
Ooh, maybe that's been the turnaround. Maybe he's like, wife, baby, I'm done with you. I'm moving back in with the boys.
Yeah, a couple of years ago when he got suspended for breaking COVID protocol, he moved back in with the boys was the phrasing.
His phrasing.
Instead of living on his own, like, is it when you're Sanyaku or when you're Maegashira or somewhere along the lines your rank
I think maybe
high enough.
Sekitori.
I think Sekitori, yeah.
When your rank is high enough, you're allowed to like get your own apartment or whatever. But he got suspended.
And get married,
rank,
have a girlfriend, have a family.
but he dropped low enough that he had to move back in with the boys, and his performance turned around immediately, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's due to his rank dropping that they forced him to move back in with the boys. Like, if you have like a wife and kid, even if you get injured and drop down in rank, I don't think like it's a blanket statement. It's like, well, you're a Makusha, gotta abandon that wife of yours and your child to be parented only by their mother.
We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Maybe.
I think it was a special case with Abi where they're like, you're being a dingus. Why don't you come back in the hay and get some extra discipline?
There you go. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Regardless, if he's with the boys, odds are good.
Yeah. Jake, so more realistically, will Abi put himself in a position where a good September could see him promoted to Ozeki? So like another 10, 11, 12 wins.
Not impossible. I mean, I think that I would put him at 8 or 9 is kind of is where like I would guess, but I don't think 11's out of the question. Certainly
8 or
not
9
10.
realistic, 7 to 6 hoping, yeah.
Yeah. If I were to like say like where I think his range is, I'd say like 7 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't expect him to go above or below that. I'd be very surprised if he went above or below that. So yeah, I think that if he got another at least 9, then there's still hope in September. But I don't think that he'll get. I don't know. Abi being consistent enough to be an Ozeki feels just wrong to me.
Yeah, he got to dodge Kirishima, Takakeisho, Teru no Fuji. He got to dodge all 3 of those guys, in addition to having 2 Fusen wins in the previous Basho. So, I mean, I'm not saying like talking out of one side of my mouth, I'm saying like, oh yeah, Onosato 12-3. He didn't have to face all of these guys, but don't worry about it. And then out of the other side of my mouth, I'm saying Abi didn't have to face these guys, so obviously his 10-5 record was inflated.
What a sleazeball!
Yeah, but you feel how you feel, and you can't help it. So, all right, so let's talk about Onosato a little bit more here. Technically, 10 wins away from having 33 wins over 3 Basho. In fact, he has 34 wins over 3 Basho in his first 3 tournaments in the top division. But there is that aspect of the Ozeki run where you need to be in the Sanyaku ranks for at least 2 out of 3. We have seen cases where you could start from the Maegashira ranks. But prior to his Yusho from the Komosubi rank last Basho, he was ranked Maegashira 5. No Rikishi has begun an Ozeki run below the rank of Maegashira 4. Mac, do you think there is any chance that Onosato gets promoted to Ozeki following this Basho?
Absolutely, on 2 conditions. Condition 1, 15-0 Zensho Yusho with dirt on all the Ozeki. I mean, obviously, dirt on Teru no Fuji and all the Ozeki. If they're in the tournament, like if they decide to participate, he puts dirt on all of them, 15-0. I think they'll waive that requirement from M5 and be like, okay, you've proven that you can be here, you're in. I would also say the same for a 14-1. I would say, again, he has to beat the top division guys. He might lose to Teru no Fuji, he might lose to one of the other Ozeki, but he has to beat all the others. Anything less than that, it's pretty iffy, I think.
It'd be tough to argue, because if he had 14, he's currently sitting at 23. So if he had 14, he'd be at 37 over 3, which I think is the same number that Tochinoshin had when he started his from Maegashira 3. So it'll be very interesting case to see if that Maegashira 5 rank that he had is like, no, that's a bridge too far. You've got 12, you got 14. Buddy, all you need to do is hit 10 next Basho and you're in. I wonder if that's the more likely case, but it would be very interesting to see if Onosato does absolutely pop off this Basho and go nuts, what they do with him.
And that's why I think those 2 conditions and those 2 conditions alone would be the only ways he could seal it.
I think, I don't know. I'm hesitant to say anything certainly with any certainty because, of course, this promotion rule isn't like set in stone. There's a lot of judgment that goes into it. Personally, I think if he gets even 13 wins, the discussion is open. But yeah, I think I think he has to. A couple things that would certainly help his case would be beating Hoshoryu, the guy that has continuously beaten him. And if he only gets 13 wins, I hope there's no Fusens in there because that would certainly hurt his case too.
Yep, asterisks.
and I think honestly, it would have to be a Yusho as well. I think if it's a June Yusho or worse, I think that hurts his case quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting because back-to-back Yusho, that's the qualifications for a Yokozuna. And it would be kind of weird optics if back-to-back Yusho, both in the Sanyaku ranks, wasn't at least
doesn't even
enough
get you
to get you Ozeki.
Yeah, no.
That would be kind of weird optics.
Imagine the hypothetical where he could take 5 straight Yusho and still, before he gets Yokozuna, hypothetically. He got one at Komosubi. Let's say he gets one this Basho, potentially still doesn't get it. So then the next
third
one, he would take 3 consecutive Yusho
got
to
up
get
to Ozeki, and then
he
two
needs
more.
2 more. He could potentially get 5 Yusho in a row before being Yokozuna.
Jeez.
Obviously, like, I don't expect that to happen, but like,
No.
the reason I bring that up is like, if he gets another one right now, you gotta promote him. I mean, I think you really gotta. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. I think the bar is a little lower than where you put it, Mac, but yeah, it's definitely a high bar because 11 wins from M5 is not a completely mind blowing performance that would guarantee the start of an Ozeki run.
Yeah. The one thing I would say maybe against it is the JSA sometimes are they can be sometimes a little harsher on their stars who they know who are going to be the superstars of the sport. So they might just kind of say, I know you're going to be really good, so I'm going to kind of hold off. Or we're going to hold you off until you actually go by exactly the rules. And so they might, the fact that he's probably going to be someone pretty good in the future, they might try to be a little harsher in that regard. So, but that's it. It's just I think you're right. Everything's kind of up in the air until it happens, and so I think that's what they're waiting to do is see what the circumstance is, and they're gonna call their meeting and decide from there.
Yeah. I mean, to Flarek's point about being harsh on like young guys trying to break through to the Ozeki rank, Takakeisho had 33 wins over 3 Basho, all 3 of those Bashos in the Sanyaku ranks, and was denied promotion to Ozeki. He had a day 15 matchup against Goedo in January of 2019, and he got absolutely the doors blown off of him, and that they were like, well, because of that, we're not going to promote you. Come back next time. Next time he did get his 10 wins. That got him, that would have been 34 over 3 Bashos. And then that was enough for his Ozeki. So there is precedent. And Takakeisho had Yusho in that original run that was denied. So there is precedent for them to, even with the 33 over 3 all in Sanyaku, they still might say no. So yeah, I do think Onosato, it does have to exceed the 33 most definitely, and by at least 3, maybe 36 over 3 to get there.
I think whether or not it's a Yusho is going to be,
and that helps quite a bit too. Yeah,
because like Takakeisho had a Yusho in that run that was denied, but it wasn't his third one, right?
No, it was his. That would have been his
first of 3
one. That would have been his second of 3. Yeah. Which turned into his first of 3 when he finally did.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Ozeki promotion, yeah. All right, let's move on to another Fleric true opinion fact that he wholeheartedly believes.
Let's go. Oh, come on, man. I am secretly a Shodai fan and always have been. It has been my greatest guilty pleasure. Much like a little boy in elementary school, I only antagonize him to hide the crush that I have on him.
Moving on
that
from
that was pretty
awkward,
good. All right.
Moving
Without
on from that
any chance
statement.
to defend that, let's move on.
Will Terano Fuji be in the Basho?
Oh,
all right. I didn't assume we were gonna move on to Sumo.
I thought you were gonna hit him with another one.
Nah, we'll wait on the next one. I did not believe Terano Fuji was going to participate in this Basho following the Natsu tournament, based on the Yokozuna Deliberation Council's statements following the tournament. I don't think we had a chance to go over what they said yet.
No.
Quotes from the YDC: "We will observe the Yokozuna's determination and sense of responsibility in his recovery from injury and his return to the ring until the Nagoya tournament or the Aki tournament. We have made the Nagoya tournament and the next Tokyo tournament clear, so I think," and this is like later on in the statement, "so I think a path will naturally become clear for what happens after that. I think it is up to Teruno Fuji himself, who has a sense of responsibility as a Yokozuna, to make the various decisions." So basically, no pressure on Takakeisho. Or
did they bring this
Teruno
up?
Fuji.
Was this after the Natsu Basho? Following the Natsu Basho?
This was
or was
following
this
the Natsu Basho, his second consecutive Basho that he had pulled out in the first week.
So this wasn't during the Jungyo. So this was right after the tournament.
Yeah, there was no Jungyo between Bashos this time.
Oh, there wasn't?
No, no. There's not a Jungyo between Natsu and Nagoya.
Fun fact.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no
Okay.
pressure from the YDC. They're like, we'll see how Nagoya and Haki go, and even if they go bad, we might just defer to Teruno Fuji himself. He knows his body. So there is zero pressure for Teruno Fuji to show up to this Basho if he's not feeling absolutely peak and ready to go. But he is participating in training matches and going out on Daigeko. On July 5th, he went 9-2 against Hida Do Umi. I haven't seen anything else on him since then, but yeah, he's training. He's doing practice bouts, which at this point, last Basho, when he did enter, this is about the time where he injured himself prior to the YDC joint training, which there was not a YDC joint training prior to this Basho. But he injured himself there, and he had stopped doing practice matches leading up to the Basho, but he still participated, which him doing practice matches a week out leading up to the Basho, that kind of makes me think there's a much higher chance of Teruno Fuji participating than I originally thought. Fleric, do we think I don't want to talk about if Teruno Fuji participates, how we think he'll do. Just go back and listen to our last
pretty
10.
good.
Yeah.
Our last 10 podcasts.
He would still be the favorite if he enters.
He would be the favorite as long as he makes it past day 5. This is no.
Yep.
But Fleric, with this news, do we think Teruno Fuji is going to be here?
That is interesting. Yeah, this is my first time hearing this about that. So it kind of comes down to if he feels like he can do good sumo. Well, does he just want to do as much sumo as he can when he's feeling good, or does he want to, if he has these free bashos, as you say, to kind of just heal up? Does he just want to actually take that time into maybe like a super heal, or just kind of be ready? I don't know. I think it's going to come down to his personality, and for some reason I feel like he enjoys sumo. So I feel like if he's feeling good and if he doesn't like have a nagging injury or re-injure himself like with the last Basho, I think he's going to compete. My guts tell me that.
Yeah, I would agree with you based on how he suffered that whatever injury it was in the week leading up to the Basho last tournament and still participated even with a lackluster week of training leading up to that. I would think that like he wants to get in there. He wants to compete. So if he's in better shape before this tournament, I actually feeling pretty good that we'll see Teruno Fuji competing in this Basho, which would be very exciting. It sounds like Takakeisho is healthy, ready to go. Sounds like Kirishima, he's saying he's healthy, ready to go. Teruno Fuji, he hasn't committed one way or the other, but he's acting like a Rikishi that's training in preparation for competing in a Basho. So we might have our full slate of guys to at least start the Basho at our Yokozuna, Ozeki, and Sekiwake ranks, which would be much better than the previous tournament where we lost over half of the Sanyaku ranks.
Yeah. I was looking on his stat page, and I'm not sure if he's a sentimental guy or not, but I remember that Nagoya was when he got his Yokozuna promotion. That's when he got performance good enough, losing to Hakuho, unfortunately, but he still had like what, 14-1
The
show?
historic 14-0 versus 14-0 matchup between Hakuho and Teruno Fuji on day 50.
Somebody was gonna break, and
Dang it. And if only I wasn't traveling this weekend, I'd be able to like point over my shoulder to where I have a painting of that match on my wall.
of Hakuho
Heck
just triumphantly screaming over the felled corpse of
I think
Teruno
that's
Fuji.
Still
picture.
the best sumo moment that I've gotten
Yes.
to witness while watching the sport.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There's
Big
been
thank
many,
you.
but that's my favorite.
Big thank you to Movie Mulligan on Instagram who painted that for us.
Yeah, and looking through that again, like the when he first came back from his injury and to Makushita, it was in Nagoya that he won his second Yusho. And he kind of said, "Hey, I'm back and I'm here to compete." So I like to say I don't personally know his personality, but there might be a little bit of sentimentality to this location. And the last time in what's this gym called again?
Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium,
This is the last time
aka Dolphins Arena.
Dolphins
This is
Arena.
the last time in the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium. Like, if he's not going to compete, who knows? That might be exactly what that's going to push him over the edge. We'll see.
That would be cool.
All right. We're gonna move on to our quick hits, but Flair, quickly hit us with another firmly held belief that you have.
All right, hook me up. Pancakes are far superior than waffles. What do waffles have?
That's a really good point, Fleric.
Monster.
Really good point, Fleric. Well done.
A satisfying, crisp, crunchy outside that gives way to fluffy interior. Deep well is perfect for filling with butter, syrup, and whipped cream, and whatever else you can imagine. Oh yeah, yucky! Who would want that?
Fleric, how dare you? How dare you? Waffles rule.
Waffles, they are the best. I'm not sure what came over me. I thought I was talking about pancakes, and I got really confused.
A brief sidebar. This is one of the biggest debates, I think, that between grape jelly or strawberry jelly that we had on
There
the
are
show.
very few like legitimately strongly held 2v2s in the GSB crew.
Mhm.
Pancakes versus waffles is one of them.
Yes.
Are you a pancake person, Jake?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
The correct answer is pancakes. The correct answer is grape jelly.
You are lying. It is waffles and strawberry all the way.
No, you're just wrong.
Me and Ryan.
No, I'm not.
All right,
bros.
Flair, let's do one more here.
okay. You know, I've been thinking, Grand Sumo is fine, but I got a few ideas that can make it so much better. First of all, let's give all these guys a haircut and some pants. They look ridiculous out there. All right. I should be shamed for this one. The lack of pants and the rad haircuts are 90% of the coolness of sumo. So I should be shamed.
Yeah, speaking of haircuts and some pants, how will Hirodu Umi do in his Sanyaku debut?
Let's see, what's he been doing? He's been consistently over 8 wins, right? And he's been kind of hanging out in that area from M5 up. I mean, he hasn't.
He's got 4 consecutive winning records, none more than 9 wins. And prior to that, yeah, he was just kind of like back and forth, but he has been consistently getting winning records. The higher and higher his rank has gotten. This will be his 3rd consecutive Basho at a career high rank, and is his debut at the Sanyaku ranks at Komosubi West, where Onosato just won a Yusho. So
Coincidence?
And Hirodu Umi beat Onosato in the previous Basho.
Coincidence?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. He'll probably get like probably 7.
I think 8 and 7 actually. I think he'll continue the streak.
I have seen good things out of him. In particular, he's always the guy that is like the most intense. Like he's not necessarily the best guy out there on a given day, but like he's always the guy trying the hardest, it feels like.
Would you classify him as little guy sumo, like in the vein of Koto Eiko and Midori Fuji?
More like Ura, a guy who's not super small but wrestles like he's small.
Mm-hmm.
That's
feels
kind of
right.
where I would. He's definitely smaller than average, but not by a huge margin. But yeah, to me, his intensity is awesome and it's impressive. It's great. I don't expect it to carry him too much higher. I would be surprised if he manages to get to. Well, I don't know. Maybe he'll hit Sekiwake once or twice in his career, but that's probably his ceiling.
I will say, Hirodu Umi is fairly young. He just turned 24 in April. I think he's only 2 months older than Onosato. He's a year younger than Takeru Fuji, around the same age as Hoshoryu. I mean, if we're always giving a long leash to Oho, who could turn around and be great in the future, why are we shutting the book
Ryan
on
with the
Umi?
dig?
I had a feeling this was going to come back to Oho.
Wow, that was a false equivalence that I cannot let stand.
Oh.
No, I
believe I've said in the past, like, Oho may very well make the Sanyaku day someday. I just don't think he has Ozeki potential in him. And then I got shut down, and Ryan, you're a moron. He's so young. How could you ever believe that? And here we are with Hirodu Umi. Jake saying, he might hit Sekiwake once or twice, but that's about it. What's the difference?
The difference
His name is not Oho.
Saying that, not you.
Yeah.
If we're being real, that's the main difference. No, I don't know. I like Hirodomi. I guess maybe part of it is that I do like him, and I don't want to set my expectations too high.
A little bias.
But yeah, I don't know. He's probably right about where he belongs. I can see him bouncing around in this upper area for quite a while, but it'd be cool to see him get higher than that. But I'd be surprised, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he kind of gets lost in the shuffle of like young hotness, and he very much deserves to be in there. And I do.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's grown on me a lot since he debuted in the top division. He kind of reminds me of like little Kodo Shogiku, because he does do like the belly bump if he gets in the right position. So I do like Hida Umi. He's got a great fighting style, kind of like Kotoeko. It's just like every match is gonna be a good match, but he's better than Kotoeko ever was. I know. I'm sorry, Mac.
Why?
But this is supposed to be your quick hits section. So,
oh God.
Will Oshoma be able to reach double-digit wins again following his great debut in the last Basho, where he went 10-5 from Maegashira 14? What are our expectations of Oshoma this Basho?
I forgot about him.
Way over promoted.
No, he was promoted exactly according to the math.
Well, okay, fine for the math, but still, to his skill level, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's been around. Like he's an older guy as far as where he's at in his
older as far as like
career.
Debuting in the top division.
Exactly. Yeah.
27.
He's 27, and to make a Makuuchi debut at that age is uncommon, but not unheard of by any means. So to me, what that says is that it's unlikely he is going to make a major turn or something. He's unlikely to, hit some big improvement in his style. And if he doesn't, then he's likely going to end up back in Juryo at some point. It could just be the case. A lot of the time we see guys debut impressively in Makuuchi, their very first tournament. They're going up against guys that have never fought them before. And a lot of the times that works out okay and good for them. But most of the time, it doesn't signal that they are going to be a long-term threat. And to me, Oshoma seems like a guy that he'll probably have a handful of Maegashira tournaments over the next few years. I wouldn't be surprised if he dips back down to Juryo now and then. I don't know. My expectations are pretty low. I'm thinking he's got promoted higher than his skill level, like Max said, probably 5 to 8 wins tops.
Let's compare him real quick to Gonoyama, Shonan Umi. Both of those guys got 10 wins in their Makuuchi debut. Both have been able to rise up the rankings. Gonoyama has kind of settled out into the joy over the past few months. He's at Maegashira 3 this Basho, Maegashira 2 last Basho, and Shonan Umi is going to be at a near career high at Maegashira 5 this Basho. What were expectations compared to those guys?
Maybe about the same, maybe a little lower, just because he's a year older and a year later than them into making this debut.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
All right, that's enough Oshoma talk. That's Oshoma talk, honestly.
I'd say similar tier, but lower expectations.
Yeah, lower
maybe.
expectation.
I don't know.
Let's talk about a couple of Rikishi that might have legitimate Yusho chances from the lower Maegashira ranks, starting with Asanoyama, who is ranked Maegashira 12. He was absent from the previous Basho, where he was ranked Komosubi, but went 0-15, had to pull out due to a lower leg injury that he received prior to the Basho. And Asanoyama cannot stop getting hurt. He has only been lightly practicing since he suffered a laceration above his right eye on June 27th that required 7 stitches. So when his stitches are removed, he will ramp up practice. But as of now, he's basically just been doing the basics and tachi checks. He hasn't been able to do full bouts in training. But it does sound like he will be ready to compete in the Basho. A cut isn't going to keep a guy out of the tournament. So what are our thoughts on an Asanoyama Yusho run from Maegashira 12? What say you, Fleric?
I would be surprised about Yusho run from here. Simply because he's just not been up to snuff anymore in the last couple Bashos. He is definitely an ex Ozeki, but I think the top of the Bansuke right now, the current Ozeki and the Sanyaku, are hot stuff right now. And he's just not up to snuff at the moment. Hopefully I know he's like been having a lot of injuries with like ankles and maybe something else that I'm not remembering at the moment, but I would be very surprising if he goes on the Yusha run. I expect Akachi Koshi, but I'm not expecting him to win the tournament.
Yeah,
That's fair. That's fair.
Asanoyama, a sneaky 30 years old at this point. I would say Abi is also another sneaky 30 years old. Did not expect both of those guys to be in their 30s at this point. So the last time Asanoyama was ranked this low was his first Basho back from Juryo back in May of last year, where he was ranked Maegashira 14. He went 12-3 and won the Jun-Yusho. He started off with 7 consecutive wins, absolutely cleaning up the lower divisions, where he only lost to Hokuseiho of all people in the lower divisions, and then he didn't pick up his last 2 losses until he started fighting the higher ranked guys, because he was in the Yusho race, losing to Daisho and Teru no Fuji. So there is a very clear path for Asanoyama here if he can remain healthy, but since he went 12-3, he has shown very much so that he cannot remain healthy.
Yep.
What about our other Rikishi that might be able to threaten a lower Maegashira Yusho in returning Wakataka Kage, who is coming back to the top division for the first time in a year after his ACL and other knee ligament injuries that he suffered in the Haru Basho of last year? Could he be a legit Yusho contender from the Maegashira 14 rank? The last Basho in Juryo, he absolutely cleaned up, going 14-1. So basically same story for us as Asanoyama. He has a real chance to have a amazing, don't want to say easy to insult the rest of the Rikishi around him, but an easier first week than somebody than the Sanyaku Rikishi. What do we think of a Wakataka Kage Yusho here?
Odds.
Also,
I think
maybe
Odds are good.
Sneakily 30 years old, sneakily 29 years old for Wakataka.
Less sneaky then.
Less sneaky, but
I
think the odds are good here.
I wouldn't say good. I'd say they're better than Asanoyama.
Okay, favorable.
I think he's definitely, in my mind, he's definitely 10 plus. But yeah, Yusho race. Yeah, I don't know. I mentioned the guys that I have in my top tier. Wakataka Kage is a guy that could sneak in there as a dark horse, but yeah, I don't know. I see 10 plus, but I also see that he hasn't come back like a house on fire the way that like Teru no Fuji did on his way back up. Barely losing more than 1 match any Basho ever. Wakataka Kage, he lost 2 matches in his very first Basho back after that injury in Makushita. Then he lost 6 matches in his first Juryo tournament.
Yeah, so
I'm just saying
5-2 in Makushita. Then he went 7-0 in Makushita. Then he went 9-6 in Juryo. Then he went 14-1 in Juryo.
So maybe he goes like 10-5 this time, taking a bump on his first time getting that new level of difficulty back under his feet. And then he starts popping off at like the upper level Sekiwake, like inevitable Ozeki that he was before the injury.
All right,
I'm not sold on inevitable Ozeki for
I'm just saying he was
Kage, but he was up there. He
contender.
Was
he was a contender.
Felt like it. To me,
he was like
to me,
Daisho is right now.
Yeah.
I guess I have a couple questions. So do you, I guess for you, Jake, since you're a little bit more unsure, do you think he's gonna clean up shop with the people around him in the bottom of the Bansuke?
I could see him having an incredible first week and then getting bumped up to the upper half of the division and having a handful of losses. That's kind of what I see happening.
So that's my thing. I kind of try in my head. I kind of break those to 2 separate kind of like competitions. I think he's going to do great against everything around him at the bottom of the Bansuke, because
probably
it looks like he's ramping up, and he's proved that he is like a top-notch Rikishi in the past. I am so unsure about the top of the Bansuke because I think people are so talented up there right now, and I am not sure if he's still up to snuff to do that. I'll be very curious, but yeah. So, but yeah, I was kind of curious if you felt like if he's still good enough to destroy the bottom of the Bansuke or not.
Maybe not destroy, but I definitely feel like with what little we have seen so far of him coming back from injury, I would expect him to make his way up to the Sanyaku again, probably. But it's such a crapshoot because like the level of competition he's faced so far in his return has been so much lower than what he was facing beforehand. It's really hard to say, like, even if his knee is like only 98% as good as it used to be, that still is, when you're at the very tippy top of the Bansuke, that's a huge difference. So like,
Yeah.
is it, some people come back from an ACL injury and you never realize it happened? Like, didn't Adrian Peterson like completely blow out his knee in college or something and then was like a Hall of Fame level running back in the NFL?
Can't remember if he did in college. I know he did
He
as
did
a
blow it
Minnesota
out.
Viking. He
I'm
blew
just
his
saying, like,
ACL,
people
came
can
back
do
the
that.
next season and absolutely dominated.
You wouldn't
Destroyed.
notice. But then
Yeah.
there are some people where an injury like that and they never recover to the level they were at. So I don't know. Haven't seen enough yet, but I am optimistic and hopeful.
Yeah. I it's anecdotal, but yeah, words.
Anecdotal?
That's the word. Thank
Quick,
you.
I have to add a new thing to Flaric's punishment.
Don't make me
Tongue
pronounce
twisters.
words, please. 9 cocky sock cutters. Anyways, I heard from one person just that one that his ACL got blown up and they repaired it, I think, with his quad muscle or quad tendon or something like that. That ACL is actually the stronger one, and like the other ones, that's the other knee that wasn't as injured, didn't get injured, is actually the one that's kind of giving them pain and issues. So it's sometimes they can repair it stronger than the other one. So medical science out there has gone pretty good.
All right. So besides Wakata, and it sounds like we're all thinking Wakataka Kage has a better chance of running roughshod through the lower ranks and having matchups against the top rankers than Asanoyama here.
Yeah.
But besides Wakataka Kage, we had 4 other Rikishi promoted from Juryo. Just real quick, don't need to dive into anything here. Who do we think will do the best of these Juryo promotees? All faces that we've seen before: Endo, Chiyoshoma, Kageyaki, or Bushozan.
Chiyoshoma for the lulz.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning like Chiyoshoma as well. Like, we've seen Endo in the lower part of the top division recently, and it hasn't been good.
I want more flying Henkas, which is why I want Chiyoshoma to do well.
Yeah. I said we weren't going to dwell. Anybody else have any?
I didn't dwell. It was more anyway.
We're still dwelling too much.
Endo. It's got to be Endo. Like, he's the most consistent. He's like the best of these guys in this group, aside of Wakataka Kage. But like, I mean, come on. He's had a rough like 1 year. But if you go back 1 year, he's like single digit Maegashira forever. You know, he's had a rough year, and going 12-3 in Juryo means he's doing at least okay.
I'm gonna go with Kageyaki because I think it's gonna piss off everyone on this podcast.
For that, Flaric, reveal another deeply
True
felt
facts.
belief that you hold in your heart.
If you insist. Oh, this is a paragraph.
We're
You know
getting
what
to the
else
stuff
is
that Ryan wrote?
verbose? Sounds like Ryan. What? I thought you said these are true facts. Anyways, you know what else is wrong with current sumo? There's too much preamble to the matches. Drinking, spitting, toweling, choreographed dance numbers. Let's cut that. Get the ring, fight, and get out. 30 seconds. Next match. We could fit a whole day of sumo into 30 minutes with my method.
Kind of like the whole point of sumo, Flaric. That's like the pageantry that you're
Yeah.
getting rid of.
Yeah.
Pomp and
This guy.
circumstance.
What I will say is that's the way I normally watch sumo. Cut down to 30 minutes.
Yeah, no kidding.
But no, we'll do something special. Okay. Do you have another one for me? Or are we going to talk about sumo again?
Sure, if you're so desperate.
There are way too many left. I need to get through these. If I had my way with Grand Sumo, I will completely outlaw the Henka. There is no place for gamesmanship or mind games in sports. Big man crush little man. That's the natural way of things. And the Henka is the beta's cuck way out.
Oh, that one's got Ryan all over it.
Oh,
A Henka would be
I step back from these.
a Henka would be punishable by branding a Rikishi's forehead with a hot iron that says coward. Mac, what Yokozuna Mac, why would you do this to me?
It was not I. I had my majority. I had my 51%. The rest are not mine.
Okay.
Ugh.
Is there anybody else on the Bansuke that we have not talked about that anybody wants to quickly shine a light upon?
I'm just going to say some of the names in the top 4 of the Zone of Death. We have Atami Fuji, Wakamoto Haru, Mitakayumi, Gonoyama, Takayasu, Ura. It's that area of the Bansuke is looking pretty stacked.
Yeah, that's nasty.
And
I'm not sold on Mitakayumi being a huge threat right now. We'll see how he does.
He might not be the top of the top, but he's has some history going with him, and I think he's no slouch is the thing I would say, and I think it's going to be a bloodbath up there. It always is, and people have to lose. I'm going to be curious to see who can come out on top.
That's fair.
Any other names we want to talk about here? I'm not.
Not really. We've hit them all.
I think you're really underselling Oho's potential. I'm good to move on.
Good. All right. Quickly down in Juryo, what we're looking at, we've got 3 of like big prospects that are in Juryo right now. We have Haku Oho, who's still making his way back following his shoulder surgery. Had a little bit of a setback last Basho as he had to be held out for a few days due to COVID, and also seemed to have some sort of injury during the Basho, but he's still hanging around in Juryo. Takeru Fuji should be making his return after missing the Natsu Basho due to his lower leg injury. He's sitting at Juryo 2. And a new name to that hot prospect potentially list. Let's see how he does this Basho and next. Ono Katsu. He went 13-2 from Juryo 12 last Basho and is now ranked Juryo 1. So he's kind of fitting that mold of quickly rising through the ranks that Takeru Fuji, Haku Oho, Onosato all fit. He started his career as a Makushita Tsukedashi. I think he's the last guy that got to start at Makushita 15 before they changed the rule where he started at Makushita 60. And he made big waves just like those two guys did in his first Juryo Basho as he went 13-2 from Juryo 13. He now sits at Juryo 1. So this will be his 5th ever Basho. Let's see how Ono Katsu does this Basho. And I'm assuming the next Basho in the top division to see if he can be one of those next top prospects / the winner of the Aki Basho. And Enho may finally be making his return to the dohyo all the way down in the Jonokuchi division. It looks like he's been doing a lot of practice matches. So as we mentioned before, Enho has been out for quite some time. He's dropped all the way down to the lowest division. We will see if he can mount the dohyo and avoid going Bansuke guy, which means you just fall off the Bansuke. You're not in any division. So the last time we saw Enho fight on the dohyo was May of 2023. So hopefully we'll see him back. I think he's been close to competing for the last 2 Bashos, but that neck injury is just a scary thing. But he is determined to come back. So hopefully if he is back this Basho, he stays safe and there's no further injuries to his neck. Fleric, why don't you give us one more firmly held belief before we take a break?
And what's with these ring names that they have? Waka Taka, Waka Kaka, Taka Waka Waka Waka, and Koto no Yama no Sato no Fuji. They're too long and difficult for my pretty American mouth to pronounce. Thank you. Let's give these guys some good names like the Crusher, Thunder, or Fat Jim. Those are the names that puts butts in seats.
I'd watch Fat Jim versus
I'd watch
Thunder.
Fat Jim, honestly.
Considering that, yes, I have watched a lot of pro wrestling, and that fits right in with that.
I mean, you've got Big Show, Triple H, Randy Orton. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break.
But pro wrestling's boring.
How dare you? What's
Monster?
If you enjoy the Grand Sumo Breakdown podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Support the show on Patreon and check out our blog, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
Also, watch us on YouTube.
Welcome back. We're going to talk about the GSB belt real quick because this is going to be fairly straightforward. So we are currently running 2 GSB belts. We started, let's see. So the winner's belt, this is the 3rd iteration of the GSB belt. So the very first one, how long ago did we do that? It was like June. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was Kyushu of 2019 we started this. And what we did was the very first match of that entire Basho in the very lowest division, the winner of that match got the GSB belt. And then whoever beat that guy got the belt. And whoever beat that guy got the belt. And we wanted to see how long it took to get up to Yokozuna. And the first time we did it, it took 100 matches. The second time we did it, it took 140 matches. And now this third one, we are now just starting, let's see, we did 1, 2, 3. So we're now just starting the 3rd Basho of our 3rd belt. And the belt has made it all the way up to mid Makushita. It started, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it is currently on Kyoku Kaiyu, who is Makushita 58 East. And he is going to be carrying the belt into the Nagoya Basho. Whoever beats Kyoku Kaiyu is going to take the belt, and we'll see how long it takes to reach the top. Now, we are also doing a loser's belt this time around. So we started it at the same time in, let's see, this was in the March tournament on day 1. We had the very last match, which was Terunofuji versus Nishikigi, and the loser of that match was going to carry the belt. And Terunofuji lost that one, so that made that easy. I figured that it was one of those things where I'd worry the belt would stay up very high, but we kind of want to see how fast it takes or how fast it goes down the Bansuke. And Terunofuji losing that one kind of kickstarted it, and it made it down to Wakamoto Haru. So not very far.
No, all the way down from Yokozuna to Maegashira 2 in 2 bashos.
2 whole bashos. So yeah, it keeps happening where right at the end, somebody, like one specific match happens in a way that makes it not go as far as it could have. So yeah, we'll see. Wakamoto Haru, let's see, who's he likely to face as a Maegashira 2? Is he going to face like a Sekiwake maybe?
Sekiwake or Onoseki, likely.
Yeah, something like that.
So Terunofuji would face Hira de Umi, Meisei likely Kotsuzaka, Takakeisho possibly for Wakamoto Haru.
So whoever loses that first match will maintain the GSB loser's belt. And God, it is just tying my brain in knots to follow this one down. But depending on if like, for example, if Wakamoto Haru just craps the bed this Basho, goes 0-15, he'll keep the belt and move quite a ways down. So we'll see if that kind of thing happens, or if he passes it along to somebody else who's having a crap Basho. But yeah, we'll see. We'll update you on the midway and the recap on where the belts end up.
All right. Let's move on to our champ chump predictions, which are the reason Fleric has to say this. This. Good job.
Wow, that one was less creative.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah. Count it. Count towards the tally. Oh, there's another paragraph. Let me guess. Ryan again.
Yeah.
Ranking systems. Who needs them? Bansuke Schmonsuke. We need a random lottery between all 600 men to determine matchups. I want to see a skinny 15-year-old that still lives with his parents, and his biggest concern is if Sally will go to homecoming with him. Go toe-to-toe with a 36-year-old with 5 kids that is on the verge of divorce because he isn't making enough money to pay the mortgage. Now that's fucking drama.
Whoa.
You know what? Like, I think for once I'm
On
starting to
some level,
actually,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm starting to speak some sense. Have I once again?
Have you come full circle?
Top of the IQ.
You've become
All right.
re-sane.
So the reason Fleric is saying these odd things is because he lost our champ chump prediction series. Every Basho, each one of us will select one champ, and however good that champ does, the better they do, the better our score is. And we select one chump. The worse that Rikshi does, the better our score is. So Fleric, as the reigning defending loser, you get the first selection for your champ this Basho. Who will it be?
Normally I am very happy to pick first, but this is one where It's definitely a tough choice. But I will say I'm happy that we spent a long time talking stuff through together. So I think I am going to go with Koto Sakura as my champ.
Okay. That works for me. I will go with the defending Yusho winner. I'm gonna go with Onosato. I don't quite believe in Terunofuji's health quite enough to take him.
Yeah, I was third worst. Sorry, I was
Or second
best.
Second
so now it's
best.
my turn to go. And yeah, I'm trying to. I'm struggling between Hoshoryu and Wakataka Kage. I don't know. It seems like at least 3 of us so far have shunned Terunofuji as like too risky. But knowing that Terunofuji, Hoshoryu, and Wakataka Kage, there's at least 3 that I think are still good picks. And if I do pick Terunofuji and he pulls out before the Basho, or even if he pulls out during the Basho, I can still repick somebody.
Yeah, you can still
True.
repick.
Yeah.
So high risk, high reward there, which is something I often say before I have to do a punishment. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go with Hoshoryu this time around.
There we
All
go.
right. Whoop. As I hit the enter button. God dang it. Come
And
here.
Mac, as the reigning Yokozuna, you get last pick for champ.
And I take
Wakataka
Wakataka Kage. I'm like, nope,
Wakataka
nope.
Kage.
Taking
I was
Wakataka Kage.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I almost picked Wakataka Kage.
Nah, it just makes sense. I think he's gonna do
Yeah.
well. I think he's gonna wreck house. At least a 10-5.
Yeah,
least I
he's
hope.
sure to get some wins. Yeah,
Yes,
he's gonna
definitely
get some
sure
wins.
to get some wins.
Yeah.
So Terunofuji not picked. Kirishima, Takakeisho not picked.
Too wild. Too wild.
All right, Mac. Other side of the coin. Who will your chump be? You've got the entire Bansuke to choose from.
I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is and say Oshoma. I think he was. Yes, was he promoted to the math? Yes, but I think per his skill level, no. I think he's too far ahead.
Interesting.
Let's
Well,
see if
Mac's
I
doing-
can.
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say, let's see if I can upset Jake when I
it's my
say
pick.
no. It's my
Yeah, it's
pick.
Jake's. No, it's Jake's pick.
Oh my God, you're right.
I was like, what are you doing?
know how snake drafts work.
It's Jake's pick.
Yeah, get out of here, Ryan.
Never mind. Let's see if Jake makes me mad.
I was just gonna say Mac is super interested in not repeating here. I'm gonna take Bushozan, an absolute lock,
no, Jake does make me mad. No,
absolute lock to go back to Jurio. All right,
All right.
Ryan. Who else did you have on your table?
It was Bushozan. I thought I had the second pick.
Yep, and you knew Mac wouldn't do it.
I can't choose Kageyaki. He has a high likelihood of doing poorly, but it will hurt so much if he does good, and I pick him, and I can't stand that.
It would kill you twice. Yeah.
It would kill me. Somebody has to eat a lot of losses in the upper ranks, and I think it could be Mitakayumi. I'm gonna go Mitakayumi here.
Wow.
got it.
I was eyeing Mitakayumi.
Wow, you guys are both dumb then.
Yeah. Screw you, man. I would complain more, but I definitely was not on top of predicting last time.
The last time Mitakayumi was Maegashira 2, he went 3-12. I don't feel bad. In fact, I feel a whole lot better.
Give it 3 weeks.
I really like Nishiki Fuji, and it looks like he didn't have a good Basho last time.
He hasn't had a good Basho in a while.
Yeah.
I know there was a while he was looking really good, but he has not looked good since. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with Nishiki Fuji, please,
Okay.
Got it.
and thank you.
At least he's polite about it.
Yeah. All right, Fleric, read another one.
Let's go.
Give us another heartfelt thought that you have.
Do you know what every good sport needs? A ball. Let's get some sort of ball involved here. Not sure of the specifics, but I have already feel like this is a 200% improvement over the ball-less sumo that has been around for centuries. Or maybe instead of a ball, we could slide it into a disc shape, and now that has legs.
No, The disc doesn't have legs. That
The
idea
disc
has
doesn't have legs.
No, that idea has legs. I thought this was going to be a dig into ultimate frisbee, but no, this
Kinda
is
turned it around there.
yeah. We're talking about some flat ball now. Let's go.
Good old flat ball.
Yeah,
Is that what you
Wow.
disc jockeys call your sport?
if you're cool, yeah.
All right. We need to start getting through the rest of these. So, Flair, give us another heartfelt thought that you have.
There should also be a roulette wheel spun before every match that adds a stipulation. Every match is unique and unpredictable now. It will have things like blindfold match, choose your weapon match,
Oh, God.
only match, pick someone, pterodactyl match, pick something from the audience to fight you match. Whoa. And death battle to the death match? Are you guys writing this shit down? This is money. It started innocent, but then got a little intense there at the end.
All right. So the punishment for this Basho should probably Mac lose.
Probably.
It will once again be Yokozuna's choice. That's just what it is from now on. So we'll figure out what it is on the recap along with the rest of you. We'll find it in real time. But before we wrap, oh God, we just got to have Flair go through a bunch of these. We're getting close to wrapping up. We're gonna have the bold predictions thread on Twitter. You can leave us your bold predictions in our email. You can leave us a voicemail, YouTube comment, in our Discord. Send us your bold predictions. Whoever has the best bold prediction at the end of the Basho will be sent a Grand Sumo Breakdown t-shirt for free. Flaric, read us another deeply felt belief.
I've been thinking more about this disc idea for improving sumo. And I think I have an idea that revolutionize it all. Instead of an individual sport, we make it sumo a team sport. Yeah, that's it, a team sport. One team will throw a disc back and forth to each other until they reach a certain zone called the end zone at the end of the dohyo. An end zone, we'll call it. Hey, let's go. And the other team will try to stop them. Oh my God, this is great. I'm really cooking here.
Well, don't let us stop cooking. Get back in the kitchen, Flaric.
I've definitely turned a new leaf of low IQ statements to high IQ. Just saying that. Including get all my other ideas to improve old sumo. This new team-based sumo with a disc is the way to go. You might be asking yourself, why throw a disc back and forth? Why not just run with the disc into the end zone? But I've already thought of that. If you have the disc, you can't move. And if you throw the disc in 10 seconds, and if you have to throw the disc in 10 seconds or the other team will get it. Yes, there is nothing more exciting than the drama of standing still. Hey, now that's that. There is some drama there because you it's a turnover if it goes over 10 seconds.
All right. One more for right now.
All right. You might also be thinking to yourself, I love this idea, Flaric. This is amazing. I'm so glad you are here to improve my favorite sport. And you are probably thinking, well, obviously the Gyoji will call any fouls or 10-second violations. It just makes sense. And you would be wrong, nerd. I don't have room in my budget to pay the players and Gyoji. Sumo is built on honor and integrity, so the Rikshi will call their own fouls. What could go wrong? You've been reading up on the sport, haven't you?
You gotta be smart to be properly dumb, right?
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
Ryan did a ton of research on Ultimate in order to find the right buttons to push.
Yes, he did.
I found a 1-page rule book. That's all I did.
There you go. Yeah, for those not benefiting from knowing what the Ultimate Frisbee, the sport that I enjoy playing,
we don't have to go into Ultimate.
Yeah,
Frisbee.
we don't need to go.
Yeah, I'm just saying that these are just call outs, and they were making a lot of sense, but I feel like you might be making fun of it a little bit now.
All you have to know about Ultimate is it's played by a group of people insecure enough about their sport that they need to call it Ultimate Frisbee.
Ultimate.
It's not the best name, I'll give you that.
Flaric,
And actually, it's called
excited for this
Ultimate.
Basho.
Frisbee is a trademark name, and it's owned by Whammo.
Oh, so it's just called Ultimate.
Of course, right. What else would you call the sport?
That's a good idea.
Ultimate
right.
disc B.
Flarek, what are you most excited for this Basho?
I'm glad you asked. You might also be thinking to yourself, I love this idea, Flarek. This is amazing.
Why are
I'm
you
so
reading it
glad
again?
Why are you reading the second one again?
I just read teleprompters. That's all
No,
I know.
I'm genuinely asking you,
I'm
what are you
Ron
most excited
Burgundy?
for this
He's
Basho?
Ron Burgundy.
We're back to
Well,
the
obviously,
regularly
the
scheduled
Gyoji
podcast.
will be calling a. Oh,
Oh God.
wait. You're
Going
actually
off the
asking me?
rails.
We're trying to end the podcast.
The prompt has not
Please help
changed.
I
us.
want to go to sleep.
Save us,
You-
Flarek. You're our only hope.
I
Oh
just know
God,
there's
we're
two-
dead.
I know there's 2 more left, so I'm just ready to go. I assumed you were actually calling me. Anyways, back to talking about actual sumo. I'm curious to watch me get crucified for all these ideas of me trying to change sumo into a completely different thing. But
I'll
beyond
have to say my favorite one is
that-
just simple. Cut their
beyond that,
hair
we'll
and put on
probably-
pants.
They got there and put on pants.
pants would be the worst. I'm so glad.
You wear
Anyways.
pants when you do sumo. What do you mean?
Oh, I guess I do. Yeah, it's not pants. They're like as close to not pants as possible.
That's true. It's the least panty of pants that we wear
You're right.
when we
This,
do sumo.
this is the content our patrons are paying for. I'm glad we're
Indeed.
doing this.
Anyways, I'm also just the young guns up at Oshima if he's going to do well. The Ozeki if they're going to take
Do
what
you mean
Oshima did.
Onosato?
Oh, thank you. Onosato. Yeah, whether or not the Ozeki are going to take what Onosato did last Basho seriously, or are they going to fight back and maybe get some wins? And if Terunofuji is going to compete, if he's a sentimental guy, we'll find out.
For me, I've got to say the potential of what sounds to be like a full, strong Sanyaku this Basho, especially compared to the injury decimated Sanyaku field we had last time. So I'm excited for the prospect of hopefully a full Basho with all 9 Sanyaku Rikishi competing for the whole 15 days. I know that's an absolute pipe dream and it'll never happen, but hey, a girl can dream.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Mac? What are you most excited for?
Hopefully not losing this one, though the odds are not in my favor.
You're not looking back fondly on that draft, are you?
No, not quite, but it is what it is. Other than that, seeing what Onosato can actually do, I would love to see back-to-back from him, so I'm excited.
And
Yeah.
little Jakey boy.
Ugh.
I got the same as Mac. I am excited for him to lose the predictions. No, I'm kidding. But legit, I am the same as Mac. Regardless of all the other exciting things going on, Onosato is for sure the storyline that is the most personally exciting to me. So that's what I'm watching.
All right, Flarek, let's get your last 2 deeply held beliefs out here.
Let's go. Get me out. Obviously, the dohyo is currently constructed as it's currently constructed would be too small to support 14 giant men running all over the place. So let's make it bigger. Widen the dohyo. About the size of an American football field would work. But we would still make it out of clay and just have it raised 2 feet above the surrounding area. This is still sumo, and I respect its traditions. God damn it!
All right, here you go.
All right, close out. Yes, this is it. This is how sumo will become the most watched sport ever. No form of sport can exceed what I have crafted. By fusing sumo with unique ideas never before thought of, sumo has reached its peak. Its best, its ultimate. Wait, that's what we should call it. Ultimate sumo. The kids will call it ultimate for short. I'm brilliant.
Ryan, did you type evil laugh in brackets there?
No,
he literally typed out
That is the official way to spell to phonetically do evil laugh.
Yeah, the evil
Good
was
Lord.
implied.
I'm in control of the Zoom call, so I'm just going to go ahead and call it here.
Hey, the Basho begins Sunday, July 14th. Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time, throw your disc high and keep moving forward.
No.
You suck, Ryan.